guys, welcome to what might become a common occurrence now, is maybe learning some value, real estate with AVP. So I think we're going to maybe do some topics here. Hopefully in the future get some guests on, have some appearances, so feel free to ask. Might get some more of these in the future, but this is going to be maybe episode 1 of this, so we'll see how this goes. But kind of the idea is what I've been thinking of for a while, and I've been actually doing some seminars on this topic, so I thought might be a great idea to kind of get this out here. We should all be trying to strive to provide some value for clients, right? It's kind of thing I think that we're all agreeing on, everyone in our industry. The purpose of working with a professional is to try to provide some added value, right? So with that being said, there are some topics that I think that should be more well-known in our industry and just are not. So this episode today is kind of going to discuss that and how we could all strive to be better in our industry by providing some added value to our clients. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was assessed value. So a lot of people don't know this. They may have heard about it, triennial assessment, whatever that means, right? Doesn't impact me, doesn't bother me on my transactions. I don't have to worry about that. My attorney will deal with it. But I think it needs to be known from the start from everyone, from all different aspects, from real estate agents to investors to rehabbers to flippers to attorneys to loan officers. I think we all need to know more about this. So I'm going to show some different screens throughout this presentation so you guys kind of see a little bit of what I'm talking about. But we're mostly going to be dealing with Cook County properties. I think that's kind of the main focal point today. And some of the other counties in Will, Lake, DuPage, they are running values often, right? Where in Cook, it's almost every 3 years, hence the triennial assessment. So I'm going to put up a screen here so you guys can see just this is color coded. You can kind of look and tell like there is, these colors are what here, gray, blue, and orange. Based on that, you're going to be able to see what area is next. So Cook County's got a really good interactive map. We'll kind of see it here a little bit too. But we're right now in the orange section, which is going to be the western and south suburbs of Cook County. So almost every home that during this time has been reassessed. The last time these homes were reassessed was 3 years ago. But the way we pay our property taxes in 24, we're paying actually 23's property taxes, right? So last time the value was reassessed was 2020. That was before COVID. Value has resulted in increased pricing. So now the county has been seeing all these sales take place. What do you think they're thinking? They're thinking like, oh boy, we can make some more money on these homes. So I'm going to show you guys some links to the county assessor's office, how we can easily check this, right? So kind of first, the idea is you want to go to cookcountypropertyinfo.com, right? From here, when you type in the PIN number or the address, you get this sheet that'll show you like the last 5 years tax bills. And just based on this, you could kind of already see the grouping. Like these 2 years are going to be set at a certain number, right? We can't see the prior one, but I bet it was around that figure, right? Then you'll see the next 3 years, and we're just going to take a look at this one particular property in Markham, where you can kind of see these groupings of these 3 years. So not even looking on the assessor's office website, I can just see this 3-year grouping, know that the triennial assessment is over now, and it's going to restart again. This will be a new year 1 for this home. So now taking that information and going to the property tax bill from 22, I could see that that value was at this 100,000 value. And now looking at the assessor's office to see what the new assessed value is, it shows it's 180. What the heck did I just say, right? I just said that the value is showing higher. It increased, right? So what's that going to result for our clients? That means the tax bill is going to go up. So every contract that comes in, my team knows how to handle this. We kind of already know what area is being reassessed. Again, south and western suburbs of Cook County is kind of the year right now. But based on that information, now I have to recalculate how our tax credit is going to be. I'm not just accepting 105%. As representing the buyer, I'm trying to protect my client's interest. I need to make sure they're prepared. Because again, this is the 23 property tax bill. Why should my client who's buying now in 24 or any year after in any of these neighborhoods have to deal with the tax bill that shouldn't be my responsibility? So what am I looking for? I'm looking to get the tax credits assessed and that credit be prorated to me. So I want in my attorney review letter, the taxes be prorated off the assessed value. Or I want to hold back until we know what the tax bill is. So those are things that we're looking for to try. So I have a closing statement again from Markham, the closing that I just did recently. And I'm going to show you the difference because the title company actually erred. The other attorney sent over the figures based on the taxes being prorated at the regular value. And you can kind of see this version here, which shows that value and what those total credits would be, around $5,000. You can see then what we had agreed to was prorate the taxes at the assessed value and how much of a swing that was to the client. So you can see now in this picture that's going to show the tax credit over $12,000, right? So those two numbers of that drastic of a change from $5,000 to $12,000, that's just like reason enough to know that you need to be checking this on all the files. Instead of my client bringing in $3,500 to bring his closing, he got to keep that check, and he also got to get another check back from the title company for another $3,500. Again, this came up last minute. The client would never have known that I got that if it wasn't for this error, because sometimes if they don't see it, they don't like believe it. It's like, hey, I helped you out with all this money. I'm like, look, I saved you all these funds, but it's like, it was really nice to be able to show the client, the real estate agent, and now all of you guys, what the differences of checking that assessed value does, right? If I did not ask for that, the tax credit we would receive would have been $5,000. The client would have got a tax bill this summer or end of fall, whenever the second installment comes out, and that tax bill might be $7,000 or $8,000. He is going to call me and you as the real estate agent and potentially other parties involved to be like, how did I get so screwed at my closing that I'm stuck with this big bill, right? So we're trying to provide value to the clients, trying to protect the client's interest, and I can't think of any other way better than this, literally checking the assessed value. So everyone needs to know that this is an option for us, and we need to be doing this on all our transactions. I keep referencing on the buy side. If I'm on the seller side, what would I do in these scenarios? I would know it. So I'd be prepared to tell my client when the time frame comes, when they receive that request from the buyer's side, maybe they do, maybe they don't. I'm doing it on all my files, but if I don't receive the request, then we just leave it alone. But if I am, I'm gonna go bring that to information my client. Now, when I'm on the sell side, it's different. I want to do a holdback. I don't want to just give random money to a buyer based on assessed value. We don't know the state equalizer. We don't know the local tax rate. Those things are changing, right? We'll see when the bill comes out what that is. But I would rather hold the funds back, wait till we actually get the second installment tax bill, and then maybe I save some more money for my client by doing it that way, right? It's just I want to be more fair to all parties. So I think holding the funds back is ultimately the better play. I'll show you another slide here, or another picture from another closing I just did where we did something similar, right? We had the seller side hold back on this additional property $6,000 to take advantage, not take advantage, but to be fair, when the tax bill comes out, we'll reprorate once we have the new second installment tax bill. So again, the whole idea is just to provide value to the clients, right? This year is the southern and western suburbs of Cook County. Next year, it will be Chicago, and the county assessor's office is already throwing up some of the increased values, right? Again, most values have increased. So we didn't have to do this in years past. Like I started in 08. I didn't really need to be checking this in 12 and 13 and 14. Like values went up, but it was like a slow, long build. Now we got values drastically jumping from 2020, right, to 2024, right? So those increases are going to be felt years behind on the property tax bill, and now Chicago's up this year. Next year. So when we get new property tax bills in Chicago next year, that will be all properties that everyone needs to be checking, going onto the assessor's office website and verifying those increases, right? Hopefully this stops and doesn't go up anymore, but it doesn't seem like values and pricing are dropping at all. So this will be a good thing for us to check, and I will put some of the links on the website too, so you guys can see, or in the post, so you kind of know where to go, where to run with, because this is going to be just a reoccurring thing for us until we can kind of settle off on values not increasing as drastically as they have been. So that was kind of addressing a couple points, right? How to check for the assessed value, and then how to apply it, right? The checking is going onto the assessor's office website, and the application is literally an attorney review, right? There's not much you could do in submitting an offer and bringing all this information up, because honestly, you're trying to get your offer accepted, right? We're not trying to be like adding in the contract, take off this assessed value, I want the taxes prorate this assessed value. No one's really may even know what you're talking about, and they're going to get nervous, and if it's between you and another buyer, you might lose the deal. So submit the offer just the way the contract is written. This is something that I strive to check and will do on all the transactions in my attorney review period, right? Ultimately, this is just being fair. I don't want the windfall, like the example I gave earlier where it resulted in like a really big swing to my client. I'm not trying to get that. Number one, I don't know if the client's gonna remember this. He got a check back for $3,500 and got to keep his original $3,500. If in September that tax bill comes out and he blew that money on furniture and a TV, he doesn't have those funds, now what is he gonna do, right? So I had to keep repeatedly remind that client, like, please don't waste that money, please don't spend that money, because you might need that to put in your escrow account when the bill comes out and you're short. Right, so my whole thing is always to get a holdback. But again, when I'm representing the buyer, probably want my client to get a little bit more money back at closing, right? Like that's going to be a better scenario. we don't know what those tax rates are going to be. If they drop the local tax rate, maybe the client wouldn't get as much. So on the buy side, I'll try to give my client more funds. Again, we're trying to make sure we have to keep reminding them, don't spend those funds. Those funds are going to be needed for your escrow account. That's where we're getting them. But out of the two options, I'd still prefer to be the most fair is to have an escrow holdback like we gave in the other example where you could see where you hold those funds back. So it's just some good tips and good reasons why the clients and consumers should want to work with you, right? Knowing this assessed value. As I mentioned, I did this a few other seminars, and I feel like it was time to kind of let everybody know, not just the few audience members that I sat with. And if you already know this, great. If you don't, feel free to ask. Like, this is a topic that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and don't just leave it for the attorney because they may not check. And then to continue with the theme of providing value, right? So assess value, great tool, great asset. We all need to know that. I think it's really important. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Kind of next thing to provide value is just a simple thing like exemptions. Again, particularly for Cook County, right? I don't care if you represented a client before, this is your first deal, you've closed the 20 transactions, you've been a realtor for 20 years, right? Like, we need to all know what we need to be providing to the client to provide that value, right? So what are we talking about here? I'm saying any client you're currently representing, right? Explain to them how this homeowner's exemption works, right? That they're gonna have to file for it potentially the following year or the year after that. And then keep a reminder when the time frame opens up on the county website, which is usually in March or April, right? Shoot a reminder to all the clients that you closed in the prior year. You're trying to stay in constant contact with the client, and what better way to be like, hey, that form is available now. Please have your clients, please feel free to fill this out. Any questions, feel free to reach out. So it's giving you a reason to get back in front of the client without having to be too like direct, like, hey, you know anyone trying to buy, right? So it's trying to provide some added value, right? So onto the homeowner's exemption. All the past clients you've closed, right? The Cook County allows you to go back, we'll see on this website here too, you can go back 5 years for providing a certificate of error to get money back from Cook County. So you think this is just, you just assume all your clients were paying attention and remembered the following year that they have to fill out this form. After all my closings, I send out links to the clients like, save this website, remember next year, right? I even make a joke like, if you forget about it, feel free to reach out, because how are you going to remember everything I said, let alone something you got to do next year, right? So if you can go back and check all the clients you closed, imagine how nice a client would feel. Like, hey, my realtor just reached out to me, telling me I can obtain a check back from Cook County for the last 3 years I didn't get the exemption for, right? So we just actually started doing that in my office, going back to years in 2019 and 18 and 20 to reach out to the past clients, because you'd be surprised if I close this amount, I'd say probably 25% to 30% of those clients are not getting that discount. I shot some messages out. They're calling me. Thank you so much, Anthony. I can't believe I didn't know about this. I can't believe I missed it. And now they're starting to get checks in from the county's office. $700 in Chicago. My times 3 or 4 years, it's a pretty good amount of money for just filling out a few papers. So this is a great way to provide value to the clients when you've represented them homes they bought, right? On homes that you might have some listings for, it's also a great tool to check, right? Again, www.cookcountypropertyinfo.com. That's going to be the one that's going to show you like if they've been getting it, right? Type in any address, you can see. So from there, if you're representing a client listing, you can bring that up to them too. Like, hey, did you even realize you were supposed to be getting this exemption? Oh, my past attorney and realtor didn't tell me about it. I can't believe I forgot. It's like, who cares about all that? Let's focus on getting you some money, right? Let's talk about how we can get a certificate of error for the years that you missed. So before you're even bringing the property to market, right before you're even listing it, you're already now helping that client out get some added bonus money. Again, if they're missing multiple years, Chicago's $700, but Cicero's $1,400, right? Berwyn's like $900 or $1,100, right? So every city is going to be different. So if they're missing multiple years, that's multiple monies for years back on exemptions that you're going to provide to the client, right? So it's kind of like another thing. Providing value to the client is just a key takeaway from the topic today, right? So what we're looking for is for future clients and past clients, right? Always trying to bring this up to them, because for us, it is common practice. For them, they've never heard of this. They don't know about exemptions. It's not their field. It's not their world. They're not going to remember to fill out these forms that we take it for granted. To be honest, I have multiple people in my office forgot to file for the homeowner's exemption, right? We're doing certificate of errors. I got my best friends that I went out to dinner with, and they're like, oh, I remember I was supposed to fill out those exemptions. And I'm like, well, let me check your property, right? We were out to dinner, checked their property. They're not getting it. Two of my really good friends, like my best friends, they don't even know about this. They bought their homes with me 3-4 years ago, not getting the exemptions. Helped them fill out the forms. They got checks back over $3,000 each. So they're pretty much loving life and pretty happy to know me to get that money back, right? But it's like I brought that to them and they still forgot. They're my friends, I see them all the time, but I didn't bring it up, right? So it's like any home you got, check, right? And then it kind of leads to another thing too, like check your family and friends, right? What difficulty is it to go onto the website right now, see if your mom's getting it, your dad's getting it, brothers, sisters, family members, because again, this is all Cook County has these monies to give out to us, but if you don't actually apply for it, if you don't actually take the time out and check, the county's not gonna alert you. Cook County prefers us not to do this. They'll probably be mad at me for making this video, right? Thousands of dollars are gonna leave their pockets and go back to us. It's a little tough right now, right? People need funds. So what easier way to fill out a few forms and get some money back from the county? And on top of it, they'll lower your mortgage payment because you'll have a new tax bill they'll base the number off of. So kind of a thing just to keep going and keep striving to provide value to clients. I think that's going to be it for a topic today. So this would be like kind of maybe a reoccurring thing, trying to provide value to clients, but trying to provide value to my audience, right? So I want to see if we can maybe get this reoccurring thing. Might have some guests on in the future in regards to maybe some real estate agents, some rehab clients, some title company members, loan officers. So we'll see how this rolls, but maybe kind of be a reoccurring thing, talking some real estate with AVP. So if this was episode one of the first ones I've done, hopefully this resonates with you guys, and feel free to reach out if you have any other questions too.